Welcome back, everybody, to 2218's Attitude for Gratitude Weekly Podcast. The Alano Society of Minneapolis. The vision statement: to be the premier Alano clubhouse serving the community by offering support, strength, and hope to those who are seeking recovery and their families. Our values are recovery, wellness, inclusiveness, and innovation. With that, I want to just welcome everybody back. And as always, thank you for your patience with the show, but I think we're starting to get her buttoned up. We started exactly at 9 p.m. on Friday, and we even had music for you for the previous few minutes for everyone to share this podcast with other fellow peoples that you know looking for some recovery and all that good stuff in their life. So first thing we want to talk about is this is an interactive show. So tonight with our guests, Rob and Finn, if there are some things that you would like me to ask them, go ahead and post it up on there. I will have my phone number. Elena will have her phone number. If you're not comfortable with putting it out there, you can just message me directly. And if we're able to, we will make sure to ask our guests those specific questions. The other thing is share this. Make this show your show, as we talk about every week. If you have ideas for the show, if there's a direction you want to see us going with this show, you have ideas, whatever the case, let me know. We're always willing to try something new, implicate new ideas. If there's a guest that you would like to see or hear from, tell me about it. We'll get them on the show. Like I say, this is not my show. This is the community show. 2218, that is where we are holding this podcast from. This is where we've held the last 100 plus shows. I will get the exact count next week because I think we may have skipped right over a milestone. And that falls on me because it's just another Friday with another show. Tonight, though, you are going to get blessed with the presence of Elena. She is back in studio in the house. She will be giving us a little segment on some wellness, some self-care, self-love, all that good stuff. So I'm already sick of hearing my own voice. Wow.
I'm just enjoying watching you kiss the microphone right now.
It's the best way, guys.
You're all the way up.
I should take a picture of it.
Just remember that is his microphone. Okay?
Yes, no, I don't share my microphone with no one. But honestly, all you guys, the closer to your mic, the better. I get feedback from the guests, especially your mic, Rob. So that's why I said pull your mic in, to your face. All right.
I'm going to take a picture.
All right, sidetracked myself. 2218, Elena is in the house, like I was saying. She will be getting the computer here shortly, so she can post up the links. I believe it's 2218.org if you're looking for it on your own.
2218 Alano.
2218 Al. You'll see it. It'll be up here. And if you're able to help out financially, just feel free to follow the links and all that jazz. These are the things I talk about every week. I should really know what I'm talking about when I say follow the links or hit this or smash that like button, share, follow, all that stuff. Just share. My main thing is share this out to the community as much as possible, as much as you're comfortable doing. But we will have those links up here. As always, if you're struggling or you're feeling alone or you're hurting, just please reach out. We use this platform for networking. If you need someone to talk to, just reach out. You don't have to be alone. You are worth it. You deserve some happiness and find your happiness. Get outside yourself. Come check out some other fellowships and do what you can do to stay happy or find some happiness. It's what we talk about. Every week we bug the shit out of our guests about their experience, strengths, and hopes. And they talk about it, where they came from and how they got to where they're at today and how life's going. Last week, I had a lot of feedback from our last week's guest because we looked up and it was 5 minutes to 11 and the show was almost over and she hadn't even gotten clean yet. That's how long she told her story for. And we will have a part two to her story. She was not able to go over it in 5 minutes, so we just chopped it. And just know that Jen will be coming back. I believe it'll be the month after Rick and Jesse do step 10. And the final thing I want to talk about before we hand this off to Elena is on, I should have the days right in front of me. I'm so prepared. Podcast. So starting September 9th, September 16th, and September 23rd, the podcast is going mobile. It's going to first be in Arkansas on the 9th. Then it's going to be in probably Branson, Missouri on the 16th.
Branson.
There's Rob. Yeah, he's in the house. You'll hear a few fart sounds too. And then the 23rd, I'll either be back in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, or over to Denver. I'm not sure yet, but I'm taking the show with me on my motorcycle.
So I get 3 weeks off.
You get 3 weeks off.
Score.
By that time, though, I will have the proper technology where you will be piped in through your phone.
Well, September 9th is supposed to be Rick and Jesse, so did you switch their days?
Yes, we've already
Sweet.
spoke. But if it works, Rob got all excited because I said pipe. Wow. And we're not even talking about drugs. I know what he was thinking. So the thing about that is Rick and Jesse, if everything works out as planned, we're not switching their dates up. They're going to be on the show mobile. But being how we do have the show and Rick and Jesse are on, I doubt that would even be good to do because it's not as though like it's a classroom situation, but it works out better if we're just face to face with Rick and Jesse because they kind of run through one of the books and it's just easier that way. So, Bobby. All right, tonight we do have Rob in the house. We have Finn in the house. We'll introduce him after Elena does a little welcome back.
I still want to know about your week.
Self-care. Oh, yeah. After self-care, I'll check in with my week and then we'll turn it over to our guest.
All right, because I got some stuff to tell you.
I know you do. Come on. Bring it.
I really don't have much for self-care, but so with my line of work right now, I've been dealing with a lot of people that are stuck on what other people think of them. And their whole attitude changes and they get angry because they're so worried about what other people are saying and what other people are doing. Okay. And exactly, that's what I want to tell my clients, but I can't. You can't tell them that. So I've been telling them to worry about them, to just work on themselves because what they say and what they do is their own issue. It shouldn't affect you the way that it does because like my sponsor has said, and I've heard other people say, you're just giving them space in your head and they don't pay you any rent for that. So there's no point in letting other people affect how you're feeling and what's going on with you because then it's a setback. In recovery, it's a setback because then you're stopping your progress to worry about what other people are doing. And I just want to remind everybody that you don't need to do that.
Damn.
And I really miss being here. So that's all I got for you tonight.
Thank you, Elena, and thank you for that. My week has gone well. You know what? Follow up with how has your week went? I know some big things have happened for you in this week. Tell us. What has your past week or so been
I don't
like?
talk to you anymore. Okay.
I'm going to go with the last 2 weeks. You've gotten check-ins from me probably 4 times a week each week since you were on the podcast last talking about no one calls you or no one checks in with you.
So that is true.
Oh.
That did happen though. I didn't go to a meeting for a month because life happened, and I did not receive one phone call to see if I was okay.
All right.
See if I was sober.
Since you said that, are people checking in with you daily?
Well, I've gone to 2 meetings.
What do you mean no?
Yeah, but
No.
the thing is that
Do I pull my phone and say, look, at every morning I'm reaching out to you, and just say,
Are you butthurt right now?
yeah, because you are being checked out on, and people are reaching out to you.
Yes, yes. I'm talking about my meetings and stuff like that.
yeah,
Right? I check on people all the time.
people are.
But that's just something that I brought up, and I'm no longer butthurt about it.
All right.
So,
But come on, what's your week? Come on.
so my week has been actually really great. My kid left for college on Monday.
Yay!
I quit my job,
Yeah. The new job?
looking for suckers.
The new job.
so I put in my 2 weeks.
Okay.
I realized that working where I'm at right now is not something that I can do because I dig too much into helping people than doing what I need to be doing. And it was hurting my recovery.
So you weren't ready for this job yet.
Well, I was ready for it. It's just that location I can't do.
So what are you going to do? You got another job lined up?
So I got a job at the Sherburne County Jail.
Ooh-wee.
Federal holding, baby.
Well,
So I start
congratulations.
next month.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, we're gonna after the show, and I talked to you kind of more about this. We'll talk about this more next week about you quitting your job that we talked about for a while.
I know.
What else happened? I know I looked in the parking lot. I know something else happened this last week.
My boyfriend and I bought a new car.
Congratulations.
I really love it.
That's kind of a big thing, and
It's my
this
dream
will-
car.
There you go. You got your dream
Because
car.
that's what you get when you're in recovery. You get to follow your dreams.
There you go. A dream. Nice. It's not items that keep you clean, but
No.
it's the
But dreams can come
ability.
true.
Yes,
Dreams can come true.
true. All right.
Or I can just keep knocking stuff off my bucket list.
There you go. I'm happy for you. The job thing, you find your happiness. You know it does work for you. You know it doesn't, and you got other. You did it responsibly. I know that you were stressing over your kid leaving, but
I'm still stressing over her leaving.
yeah, and you're gonna deal with it, and you deal with it.
No.
Diving into a bottle isn't the answer, and you know that. And
Well,
now you dive into other stuff.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
A new car.
You did sound just like me.
Like that?
Oh lordy.
It's messed up when I hear someone say that. I think of Bob Barker, and then I start thinking about jail shoes. Instantly.
Right.
I hate my Barkers,
Oh
dude.
my-
Right, and then you start thinking about that sandpaper toothpaste that they give you. Oh,
I got a funny story. Oh, we can't go into this. Right
yeah. He dropped the soap.
I did. That's what I was going to tell you about. When I was in Pine County, and the way Pine County cells are, their showers, the main area is right. It's just the main area, like on the floor. It's like all the tables are out there where everyone watches TV. Well, the showers they're half.
Pod.
Yeah, the main pod.
Yeah.
Well, the showers, you have like 2 feet, then there's a door, then like you can see the top of my head and like from my shins down. The first time I went down to take a shower, all of a sudden the soap dropped and it fell out of the door and went all the way into the pod.
Oh,
I'm like, hey, I dropped the soap. It's all good. It's so messed up.
Oh,
It's so
no.
messed up.
I love
Don't go
it.
to jail, kids.
Right.
Um,
And if you do get, you can't. Just
get
don't drop it.
soap on a rope.
You can't. Did they got that there?
I don't.
I never seen it there.
The one,
I'm sure
my
you can
celly,
make it.
the Caesar, he looked, whatever, he made his own. Like, he went in there, he was like, 3 things of dental
Yeah.
floss and a couple toothpicks and,
Right.
or homemade, whatever. In the,
Thank God I don't have to do that today. Thank God.
Okay, my week was
Yeah,
good.
how was
I
your
worked a lot. I went to a birthday party. I've been hanging out with my girl, getting ready for my trip. Life. Staying in contact with my community, my network of friends, and all that good jazz. So, you guys share this podcast. Down on the bottom of your screen right now, there's a little arrow down where you can write comments. On the bottom left side, there's a little arrow. If you hit that little arrow, it'll give you a couple options. It'll say write post, copy link, or messenger. If you tap messenger, you can start sharing it with all those people in your friends list. So go for it. Like me, I'm going to hit write post, and then I hit write post, and then it goes to my Facebook front page. I'm so tech savvy. All right, let's move on into the reason we show up every week, because Finn's in the house. That's why I'm here. That's why I've had 100 shows. Been waiting for this moment, buddy. I'm just talking shit. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh no! Here we go again.
Wow, Mister, I'll keep my phone on silent.
I was trying to actually share it because I just posted on my
Oh,
Facebook.
thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Yeah, well,
Give you a go.
it didn't work out very well, obviously.
Who are you?
But I am Rob H.
Hey, Rob, welcome. Who are you, my friend?
I'm Finn K.
Welcome, Finn K. How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, excellent.
Excellent.
I'm doing good. I just came from meditation. I'm doing good.
Meditation, is that just like you cross your legs, sit there with your hands in the air, and say, like what?
Yeah, what is that?
I know I'm being a
Let's
smart
hear
ass,
about
but early recovery for me, I heard about meditation and some like transcendental.
Transcendental.
Rick and Jesse that come on our show, he's a big proponent of that TM, I think it's called, or that, what I'm trying to say. And he was really adamant about me, like, check this out. He sent me videos, and I haven't, but I don't really know what meditation is. It's just me closing my eyes and thinking, like, could you give us a breakdown of what meditation looks like for you and what it is?
Yeah, so I really enjoy just silent meditation because, you know, my conscious contact only exists in the moment, and so I can't really, like, if I'm lost in thoughts about the future or the past, I'm not really living in my conscious contact. And I've kind of come to the, like, belief over the years that, like, anything that takes my attention away from the present moment is kind of part of my addiction, whether that's my phone, which is just a crippling addiction, or whether it's, you know, just shopping or, you know,
Anything that takes you away from the here and now.
anything that takes me away from the moment.
You see that as a negative?
I see it as part of my disease. Yeah.
Oh, I've never really heard it put that way. But no,
This is an 11th step extension, so it's kind of not affiliated with any 12-step fellowship, but it is a bunch of people from a bunch of different fellowships that get together, and we just meditate. We do a guided meditation. And we had was it Kevin Griffin came and spoke, which he's like a super powerful figure, but he's kind of like involved in some specific religions. I don't want to mention those.
and that's your deal if you want to, or if you don't want to, it's all good either way. I two reasons you're gonna hear me say this is one is I'm kind of naive or ignorant about it, and two is like I want to know meditation. I was gonna look it up. Like I'm gonna be looking at my phone here and there. I don't think I'm being rude. But
Rude as dude.
what is I don't know how. Break it down for a guy who's just pretend I've never even heard the word. Like I know you said you guys do meditation. What is meditation?
It's just being aware of your thoughts, like being aware of your suffering. So like I'll sit there. What I tend to do is like I get like mild pain in my neck and shoulder, and so like sometimes I'll sit there and I'll just sit in that suffering and experience that pain and just focus on it. Or sometimes I'll get thoughts that come through my head. You know, I'm obsessing about this or that, and usually it's something that involves like seeking pleasure or avoiding suffering. You know, and so like I think the goal of it is to kind of to just kind of sit in that suffering and like not seek escape from something, because a lot of things in my recovery are like I don't want kind of stuff.
So you're enduring the feelings you're like whatever you're going through at that moment, and it does it need to be? I know I'm saying need. Can it be whatever you want, basically?
Yeah,
You focus on whatever, and that's what you're doing. Ultimately, you're sitting down, closing eyes, quiet area, and you're focusing on something going on in your life or physical.
Yeah, it can be small groups too. Like, well, small groups is kind of specific to Minnesota because a lot of fellowships don't really do small groups.
What do you mean small? Like three of us sitting down doing it together? Or?
No, I'm saying like when you're in a meeting, and you break into a small
Yeah.
group and you're like listening to everyone goes around and you're sort of like focusing and listening to each person share. That's like a form of meditation too,
Cool.
because I'm getting outside of my thoughts and my wants and my obsession, compulsion, and total self-centeredness, and I'm focusing on someone else and what's going on with them. And it's like it's meditative. It's a mindfulness practice, like sitting in a small group. That's a specific example
Okay.
to Minnesota, though.
All right, I see what you're saying now. I didn't when you're saying small group. I'm like, oh, small group where you meditate. Which you mean is basically that was just an example. So you're focusing in on it's a way of focusing on something, whatever it is, and getting outside yourself, focusing in on when you're sharing with it.
Yeah.
Basically, a good way to describe it is like meditation is like prayer is you're talking to God and meditation is releasing.
Yeah.
That's the way I've heard some people describe it as well.
Say that again. Rob?
Totally.
So prayer is when you talk to God, and meditation is when you listen to God.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean that could be in many forms too. You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, for me, like weightlifting is a good form because when I'm there, I'm focused on my breathing, and all I'm focused on is like what I'm gonna do next or how many reps or but it's I'm not thinking about everything that's bothering me. And that's probably why I love it so much.
Right. You were one of the first people that told me, like, Tim, when I run, it does something for me, my mental health.
Absolutely.
It really helps my mental health.
Absolutely.
Real quick, meditation is a practice. You hit it on the head with a lot of things you're saying. Meditation is a practice in which an individual uses techniques such as mindfulness or focusing the mind on a particular object, thought, or activity to train attention and awareness and achieve a mentally clear and emotionally calm and stable state. Meditation is a practice in numerous religious traditions. So, like, I go to Tuesday night recovery meeting, and it's faith-based, and I go to church on Sundays. Like, I've not heard pastor talk about, or say the word meditation, but me focusing in on him, like, I now I'm starting to try to put I've never been able to meditate, or maybe if I have, I just didn't realize I was.
I think you can, bro.
But
I
yeah,
have faith.
you now have a lot of faith. We're gonna get into that real quick here. But this meditation thing. So what was it? Have you done the transcendental? Or, do you know what the difference is? Is that just another form of meditating?
Yeah, I enjoy like sort of 12-step based meditation. So like these types of groups that I go to are like
Okay.
specifically kind of recovery oriented, but we do like guided meditation. You know, they go into like I said, I don't want to endorse
Right.
any outside
Okay.
religions or anything like that, but it's a part of my practice. It's a part of the steps. It's an 11th step extension for me.
Okay.
You know?
Then I guess the next question, or to just my own confirmation, is like when you say 12-step meditation, that is the act of like small group. What you're saying, you're
Yeah,
just giving me an example.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's absolutely an example. And running, like Rob mentioned, is absolutely an
Oh,
example.
big time. Love it.
Yeah, it's because you're just in your head and all you're focusing on is your breathing.
And not dying.
And not dying.
Yeah, not dying.
So like, quick question.
Once you get to this, like, you know, because I ran that 6 miles, what was it last?
Yeah,
I
you ran it with Ashley, right?
Yeah, Ashley K.
Yeah.
And it was dude, at 5.5, I was like about to throw up, and I was like, one of my sayings is "run till you die." And that day, I was like, well, I'm gonna run till I die today, you know. And I didn't die, so I made it, and here we are. You know?
So us out riding motorcycles.
Absolutely, that's
Yeah,
meditation.
absolutely
Okay.
meditation too.
You know?
Okay. So
Yeah.
I had, like I've told a lot
Because
of
you know, like whenever you text me and you're like, "Hey, thanks for the ride," and clearing my head, that's, you know, basically what we're doing.
Yep.
You know, I mean, there's all types of it. You know, I mean, honestly, like I tend to do it in the shower. You know, like I'll take stop it. I knew that was coming.
That's
but
not meditation.
but you don't hear me saying something about Timmy saying that, huh? Yeah.
You know what?
Hey, I get any D pics, I'm sending them to you, anyways. So no, what I do is like I'll take my hands and I'll put them. Literally, I'll put my hands like in a cup and like I'll put them behind my ears, and like you can amplify sound. You know, if you put your hands behind your ears and you put the cup right. So then I'll turn around and I'll have the water hit my neck. You know, so it gets kind of a sensation. You know, and I just kind of just let it hit, and I just listen to the sound, and I just think of whatever comes to mind, and a lot of times what comes to mind is my old dogs. You know,
You have a big, strong connection with your old dogs, right?
yeah,
They were a
especially
huge
my
part
bulls, yeah.
of you getting clean too, right?
Well, they were essentially the only friends I had left. You know what I mean? And
Right.
you know, and they stayed around long enough for me to get clean. So at least homie did, anyways. And Sasha, she lasted quite a while, but I really love them dogs, and I still love dogs, obviously.
Right,
But,
yeah, no.
And that's just the first thing that comes to mind. Also, sometimes it's like it sounds like raindrops. So like I picture like me sitting in a car, and like let's say that, like, you know, I don't like my surroundings at the time, or whatever's going on in my life feels really ugly. I'll just tell myself that like I'm in New York, or I'm in New Jersey, or I'm in Connecticut or something, you know, just some random place.
Oh,
and,
like
kind of transcendental,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And then I got the water hitting me on my neck, so it's like, you know, I start, but it sounds like rain.
You know, you can take yourself away. Kelvin,
Right.
like take me away.
Yeah, just to get me away for a little
Put
bit.
you
know?
elsewhere. So that is another form of that. Is like just mindfulness. You said it, like it's, and that was part of the definition, is like mindfulness of your surroundings, or where you play. Like, so I went to, when I was in Arkansas last year, I went and saw something called the Passion Play, and it was not it was not like a regular play. It was on the side of a hill, and it's like a whole city, and you're in these bleachers watching this play, and like I had some experience there. I went there by myself, and it was moving, but like me not being there and me like letting my head go to that place, that's a form of meditation, like a calming situation where I take myself to a past experience that was good, or something that brings happiness. But now my other question is, you're talking about like pain. Does that help? What's the benefits of that for you? Like,
I just believe that we can't really avoid suffering, and that's kind of what this, like, I shouldn't say this program, but that's kind of what 12-step programs are all about, is kind of acknowledging our suffering and sharing that experience of suffering together. And so I just get something out of focusing on that. If I'm having like mild discomfort or pain, I kind of just focus on it. I don't try to escape it. I don't try to escape it. Basically, I just focus on it and accept it and just experience it. And
have you found that makes it easier? Or
yeah,
it does. Like,
I think so. Yeah.
You got a kink in your neck, it's hurting.
And same with like obsessive thoughts. Like if I'm having, you know, the obsession and the compulsion, and I'm obsessing about something.
Yeah, we all know about that, don't we?
Yeah, just being aware. You know, like just being aware of those obsessive thoughts. You know, like I'm thinking about this and just sort of documenting it and like filing it away,
Right.
like, oh, I'm thinking a lot about this woman or something, and file that away. I don't know.
That you do know. That's awesome. Like
Yeah.
that's another tool.
It's a good way of getting rid of stuff.
But you know what? Like, and I talk about this because I'm for anyone listening who's I don't want them to find themselves making the same mistake I did. For 3 years, I've been real curious about, the first year or two of recovery, I didn't ask about it, but I heard about it. For 3 years now, I've been curious about it, but I never spoke up. How beneficial it could be to my life to embrace something like that. Like anyone listening, like I'm glad I'm asking about, and that's why I'm digging in deep. Is I've always wanted to know if people that talk about it, they don't poo-poo it off. They're like, no, it helps. It helps me personally. That's what I always hear people talk about, and I never looked at it the way you're sharing about it, like working out
Yeah.
or going on a bike ride. If we're gonna say what it is, like then I meditate all the time.
Well, I mean, like also, like, what's a hobby besides riding a bike for you?
Go fishing.
Because you can meditate fishing, absolutely.
Yeah.
You get like, I mean, think about how you feel when you're out on the water, right? So it's like a lot of people. I know a lot of addicts in recovery that they like to fish. Me, I drank a lot of beer when I fished, so like I'm like, oh, without the
Right.
beer, I don't really want to fish. But maybe that might change. I don't know. You know what I'm
It
saying?
does. I think
But-
the same happened with like ice fishing. I never thought.
I've
ice
actually
fishing
thought
without
about like
drinking.
golfing recently, like
Yeah,
golfing.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
whoa, what's going on here? I'm thinking about golfing. Okay.
Go do it.
I'm obviously sometime.
Some people, you know what, like my brother, the one who passed. Well, you know what? Not even him. Both my brothers, they enjoy golfing. I never could.
Yeah.
My thing was I'd either be drunk by the second hole,
Right.
or
That's kind of how I
and
feel about
without a
fishing.
cart, like no way. I found no peace in golfing. But the majority of people I know that like golfing, that's why they do it. They're like, it's calming, it's peaceful. My
Until-
dad, he get all pissed off. Like certain people get real mad,
Right.
miss the ball or something.
Maybe I shouldn't go golfing.
But you don't know until you try it,
Right.
You have to
No, I've
exist
golfed
in the
before.
moment,
I've
when
golfed
you're-
before.
When you're doing that, you're forced to exist in the moment, and that's like where my conscious contact is. In nature too, like
Oh, I love
Mhm.
that. I love that.
There you
stuff.
go. Yes, nature. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Chelsea and Leon, who we've had on the show a few times, they're real big into getting up to Duluth, going looking for rocks, and I was just
They're not rocks.
Yeah.
what the
Agates.
gemstones,
Agates, right?
crystals,
Agates, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of
Lots
that.
of
Agates.
them.
Agates. Sorry, I can't pronounce it.
Whatever.
That's why he's my sponsor, guys.
We got a big circle here. I got my grand sponsor, my sponsor, and my podcast buddies. Yes, meditation though is. I'm glad that got brought up right away. Buddhism or
Buddhism.
yeah. Have you experienced that or talked to? I'm right out of left field. I'm going to a whole different direction here, but is there some Buddhist recovery or something that you've talked to me about?
yeah, I don't want to endorse any specific.
Yeah, I know you.
But yeah, I've volunteered, at some temples and stuff back home, and it was really interesting. I'll just say that, like, it was really interesting, like hearing kind of the monks describe their meditation and like what they focus on, and they kind of like they think microscopically, which is really interesting.
What do you mean?
Like they meditate on like bacteria, like
Oh,
bacteria in your skin, and they meditate on death. The parts of your body that are temporary, like your skin, your hair, and your
It sounds kind of dark.
things that fall off and kind of
the things that fall out. Yeah. Well,
things that are not permanent, and we're really not permanent either. But yeah, I don't want to endorse anything.
no, and you know what? Let me let everyone know. Like
But it's cool. Yeah.
Finn is very tradition oriented, and he doesn't want to. You want how do we want to word this the best ways? You just want to stick to traditions, and you don't want to violate anything that's been already our predecessors have set up ahead of us. Which I can respect. Like I know we've been pretty lackadaisical or whatever you want to call it. In the past, we try to stick to
Lackadaisical.
I don't know.
to tradition
keep
or
that one.
anonymity. Like we're pretty good about that.
Unanimity.
But what I do want to stress is like your life is recovery based, correct?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
where you're at in life today is because of recovery, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
He's killing it.
Right. And one thing like I wanted to, and then I'm gonna start bugging you about some things. Is I wanted to talk to you about travels. this was something that kind of always piqued my interest. The first time I ever heard you share somewhere that we were at was about you just got back from out of country for a convention or something. Regardless what the fellowship was, where have you been? And it's because of recovery. Can you share about some of that stuff with keeping in traditions?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect.
So, like, I won't mention the fellowship, but I've been to conventions in Latin America, the Latin American Convention, which is it's a lot of countries, and there are a lot of poorer countries that you see, and it was eye opening for me because there was a lot of people from like El Salvador and Nicaragua and places that like they don't have the same, like, for lack of a better word, like they don't have the same privilege that we do
The
here in the
luxuries,
United States.
yeah.
And like some of them share the same literature, like within a sponsorship family, they all share the same book, and it's usually falling apart, stuff like that. You just see a different perspective, but you share a common experience with them, and that's been such a cathartic thing for me is to go somewhere else where I don't share a lot in common with. Maybe I do, but maybe I don't share a lot in common with the people that I'm meeting, but we have this common connection, which is recovery. And I've experienced that in countries that like don't even like Americans, and that's
awesome.
really powerful. Like
Right.
they'll tell you too. Like we don't, normally I don't talk to Americans. I don't really like you guys, but I like you, and
Right.
that we share this in common. And they'll still treat me like a brother, and that's powerful. It's a powerful feeling, man.
I've shared. I always make it a point to like when a topic will come up about something similar. That's like this disease I have. It doesn't care what color I am. Doesn't care if I'm underweight or overweight. Doesn't care what my gender is. It doesn't care.
Nope.
Like it'll kill me the same as it'll kill a millionaire or a guy in the gutter.
Absolutely.
So on the flip side of that, it's like when I go to an unfamiliar meeting, when I'm out of state, out of country, like you said, we have this common bond. Like we don't know each other, but we know each other. We might not like the same people from the same area, but we have the same common goal that we're trying to stop using or abusing, whatever the case. So you've been to South America. Where else?
New Zealand.
That's the one.
That's
yeah.
the one that really got me hooked, as far as like just seeing the community out there and how welcoming they are, and just the different types of people too. I guess I'd never really met people like that in recovery. It's kind of just a different group. Very interesting group, although very diverse group, and like I don't know, I just felt so welcome, and I felt so like yeah.
Was it English, or what language do they speak in New Zealand?
They speak Maori, which is their indigenous group, which is like the equivalent of Native Americans here, and they actually do to celebrate milestones in recovery. They do like a haka war dance, which is like to symbolize the battle against addiction,
And they get tattoos in their face too.
battle against recovery.
Like you?
No, they do. They get tattoos in their face in New Zealand, don't
They
they?
do, yeah. They get.
I've seen some National Geographic. Like it's like half of it means something, and then like,
Because of recovery?
Yeah.
What?
they
Yeah,
do, yep.
yeah. It's
So-
and it's like a tribal kind of thing, right?
It is.
I've seen it on what was I? I think I was with
Next
our buddy
tattoo.
Frank, right? And we were watching something, and I was like, "Is this show in New Zealand?" He's like, "No, it's in so and so." And then like 2 minutes later, he's like, "No, actually, it is in New Zealand." I was like, "Yeah, I knew it because I remember you telling me the story about what those tattoos mean, about the warrior in the battle and whatnot."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like, "No, that is New Zealand. I knew it." You know what I mean?
It's to
So-
symbolize grief that can't be expressed outwardly. So like they're not allowed to. And this isn't exactly. I don't recommend this. or
Maybe that
endorse
is my
this.
next tattoo.
I don't recommend or endorse this, but I'm saying like they can't express the grief outwardly by like crying, and so they get a tattoo on their face, which is like a permanent expression of that grief, and they do that for like sponsees that die or
What?
people.
I'd have a tatted up face right
Yeah,
now.
exactly. Yeah.
Seriously, that's the sad part about this disease, man, is that you're gonna lose people, and I think that as of right now, like the reason I come on and do stuff like this is so I can at least do my part, and it helps so we can just start curbing that number, and hopefully we can get it to zero. I mean, yeah, that may be unrealistic expectation, but that's a good goal to shoot for because I'm tired of losing people. That's the
Absolutely.
truth.
So, what about the language barrier in these places that you go?
Well, they speak English, but they had sort of like an agreement with their indigenous group, and so it's like most of it is English, but the meetings speak both English and Maori. A lot of them do. So like they have Maori Common Needs meetings, which are meetings that serve the Maori people, and they introduce themselves as part of their introduction. Like, I am so and so. They also do an introduction into their like kind of like their history, their family history. As
Okay.
far as like I come from this, group, and this is my Maori name, and they say that in Maori, and then they do the Serenity Prayer in Maori.
That's awesome.
That would be cool.
You've been have you continuously basically pre-COVID? Were you going every year, correct? Or
Yeah.
After the first-
pre-COVID, because they shut
right?
that place
Yeah,
down
I recall you
hard. Yeah.
sharing about that one time. And these are the things like I got to be careful about when I bring that up. Like, hey, remember that time you shared in confidence at a meeting behind closed doors? Well, let's talk about that. I don't. That's why, like before the show, I always ask our guests anything you don't want me to bring it up. But then I should preface that with like, including things I heard you share at a meeting. But that's not the case. Well, it is because that's what I know. That's why I said like you've gone since the first time you went. Like you were hooked. You're like, I'm going. These people are welcoming, regardless of the language barrier, and I'm going back.
Yeah.
Of course you are.
And it's a beautiful place too. Like, I mean, it's just an absolute
New Zealand?
beautiful place. Yeah, it's really magical. And like, I came into this program just not wanting to die, and I feel like over time, like the spiritual experience has been more important to me, and like having a powerful spiritual experience. And I experienced that through traveling. Like, I don't think you have to travel to have a spiritual experience, but
Yeah.
I definitely, just like in nature, I mean, I guess you could travel just up north, and there's a bunch of beautiful stuff to see. There's northern lights you can
Right.
see. I mean, that's a spiritual experience to me, is like existing as a person and experiencing life the way I was supposed to experience it.
How long have you been in recovery? Would we say successfully? How much time do you have since your last use?
18 years.
I was just telling him and you just celebrated that too. Matter of fact,
18 years.
yeah, I said his recovery's old enough to buy cigarettes now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it might be
No,
21 in
you have
Minnesota
to be
now.
21.
Whatever. All right, your recovery's of legal age. You know what? What was one of the biggest hurdles for you in early recovery?
Wow, that's a hard question to answer.
Mm.
I think it was. I'm going to touch on. I guess that would touch on outside issues too. I think that for me, I guess that's a good one. I didn't think that anyone had experienced the level of suffering that I had experienced, and so I looked at all the differences. Like they didn't, use the way that I had used, and they weren't. And looking back, I mean, that's ridiculous because I was like basically a child, like, and I've been in the program long enough to know that that's like, yeah.
How long did it take for you to realize that, though?
So my first meeting, my first meeting was at the Gilman in Berkeley, and it was like a music venue, and it was like there was a lot of like old like musicians there and just different people, and they had used way fucking harder than I used,
And you went in
it was
thinking
pretty
like
quick.
these people don't know.
It was pretty quick, but yeah, that was what I looked at in the beginning was the differences. Like they don't, and it boils down to like they don't understand the suffering that I've experienced.
Right.
My suffering is unique and somehow superior to everyone else's suffering, so they can't understand. So therefore, I should leave and go continue to suffer.
Giving ourselves an out or an excuse to keep on running and gunning.
Absolutely.
But like, I guess a quick side question is, does your story have a lot of relapses?
So I came into the program when I was definitely, because I came in really young. My disease progressed very rapidly at a very young age, where it had a lot of consequences and a lot of repeated instances, and I could talk about those, but I don't want to get into like some sort of
And that's how. I guess what I'm asking
I hear you. Yeah,
is
I hear
okay.
you.
So you get in.
Like very young.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason why is because the statement I was going to make of how would you know any different? Like, you get into recovery when you finally take it serious and you're in here. how wouldn't you know that like these people, yeah, maybe they use, maybe they drink, but it's not like me.
Yeah.
Like I did. I came in. I don't know if that's just a common thing. A lot of people would have thought, but I came in, IV heroin user, and I'm like, these people didn't like me. No way. Within a week of hearing people share, you're like, I'm a saint.
Yeah.
Like, or just not so much as I'm a saint, but you know what I mean. I think that's common across the board with people.
Yeah. Like they share like we all share suffering together. We all
Right.
experience the same suffering.
And I think it goes the same with like we share that suffering, but we also share this common goal to stop that suffering.
Exactly.
Like,
Right.
that's a common hurdle. I think like that's one of the questions I always ask people on the podcast. Is like, what's one of the hurdles? Like mine was stealing in line.
Oh, definitely. I was
Like-
stealing early on.
Yeah, like in the line. Like line was just second nature. Like it almost started feeling wrong to tell the truth in early recovery for me because I'd been lying for so long.
Dude, I was so ready when I got clean. I was
What do you mean?
I like early on. I was like, I'll do anything. I'll do anything. I don't care. I have 8 meetings a week. You know what I mean? I was staying off of Facebook. You know what I mean? It was just everything that because I knew that it was so serious that it was either get clean or die. You know what I mean? So if somebody would have been like, hey, eat this pine cone, I'd eat that pine cone.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like for real. You know what I mean? Because it was like I knew. I mean, I overdosed on Christmas. You know, if that's not a sign from God, I don't know what else is. You know what I
Signs
mean?
from God, Rob. Let's talk about this.
Boom, switching gears.
We're gonna switch gears.
Boom.
You go to church?
Absolutely.
We don't need. Tell us about what happened with you. Some a big thing just happened in your recovery. And you know what? Not
okay.
your recovery.
No,
in
it
your
wasn't
life.
my recovery.
In your life.
In my life, yes.
Yeah. Talk to us. Give us a little
Okay.
prelude to it, and
Okay, so I go to church, right, and I've been praying about letting some stuff go for 3 years now, and I've been carrying it around with me along with all the other stuff. I got a lot of compound emotions going on about a lot of things, and it really had me on the fence about even staying clean or even staying in the program or even talking with anybody. I was real distant with people, and I kind of cut a lot of people off, man. And to be honest, I really wasn't doing very well. And it was like, man, I was really thinking about it one night, and I started busting out in tears, and I said, God, I don't want this anymore. And of course, it didn't go away that night. So fast forward another week, and it was a Sunday, and I had to go back to work the next day because I was laid off for a month, and
your first day back.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So
With a new company.
Yeah, with a new company,
Okay.
which I love it. We'll get to that too. But I get in a fight with my dad, and I yell at my dad. And I felt terrible about it. Because it's my dad, and he's 7 years old. And what if that's the last night that I could see him?
On what, Saturday?
Sunday
morning.
Sunday.
Okay.
Actually, right after I left you in at Blaine.
Yep.
I went and got in a fight with my dad, and I sped off on my bike and revved the motor real loud coming out because I was just furious.
Yeah.
Just furious. Yeah, I left my helmet there too. Yeah, think about that too, right? Yeah, and I wear my helmet now. And then I get to church, and the one pastor's up there and he's talking, and I'm listening, and then all of a sudden, the other pastor gets on, the guy that started the place, and everything that he said, it was basically it felt like he was talking to me. It was speaking of anger and resentments and grief and loss and failed relationships that you're hanging on to, and everything that he said, I was like, this dude is talking about me. And then he said, if you're suffering and living in fear, come up to the altar now. So
Stop. Going up to the altar in a church where there's usually 200 to 500 people there. Are you comfortable going up in front of all sorts of people?
absolutely not. I don't want people behind me, man.
Still, even with 7 years clean or whatever,
yeah.
all the work you've done on yourself. Well,
I'm still very self-conscious. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. I went up there and I seen everybody putting their hands out. And I've been to church. But I've never really. I always thought that
kind of up to the sky, like this?
Yeah, I was like,
Okay.
well, I mean, that's cool, and I appreciate their what would you call that? Their enthusiasm. I like their enthusiasm, right?
I don't know the word
But anyways, so the
yeah.
first couple times I ever went up there, because obviously, I got issues, right?
Right.
And, the first couple times I went up there, I didn't really open my hands up, right?
So you kind of had to take a leap of getting outside.
Yeah, I was like,
go
just
up
do
to the
it.
stage alone.
Something told me to just do it. Something
Okay.
told me to just do it. I
Okay.
don't know what it was, but I just stood up there and I felt uncomfortable, and I opened up my palms, and and I closed my eyes, and we were praying, and so they're coming around and they're doing that thing where they put the hand on the head and they pray, and people are falling. Right, and I had seen people. The first time I saw somebody fall in church, I thought they were having a seizure, and I was like, "Oh my god," you know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? Like, seriously, I was
Right.
like really concerned, and then I was like,
But then what were you thinking about people that? So wait, let me slow this down. A pastor puts his hand on someone's head, and anyone listening, if you've seen it, you know what we're talking about. But the Holy Ghost went through him, or whatever.
The Holy Spirit.
The Holy Spirit, whatever the case. What I'm getting at is, what were you, even still, after you found out it wasn't a seizure and you knew people were doing that? Did you believe? Like, what? Was your thoughts?
I just didn't really think that it was really possible for me. Just like recovery, or just like anything, like that asshole between my ears is telling me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really think it was possible for me. So I'm up there, and and I'm feeling uncomfortable, and I'm kind of singing along, and I'm kind of mumbling because I don't really sing, and you know what I mean. And I'm looking over, and I start seeing these people drop, right, and so they skip me. They skip right over me, and I'm like, "You mother." Ooh, I was so pissed, you know what I mean? And I'm like, this is typical because I always get hugged around, right? So I'm always sharing about like how I'm at an NA meeting and like I get hugged around, right?
What do you mean hugged around?
Well, like there'd be like 8 people and like somebody that doesn't know me very well, like they'll be hugging everybody else, and they'll kind of get to me and they're like, oh, and they kind of just hug around me.
So everyone else gets a hug but you.
Kind of, yeah.
That's what you mean by hug.
Yeah, and that's something
So
I've
now
shared.
pastor's knocking people out, and he
Right.
skips right over you.
Yep, yeah, he skipped right over me. And,
Okay.
my friend Rachel comes up and she says he's saving the best for last. And,
When she knew that you were like, what the heck? Why do you go past me?
It must have. I can't explain like the feelings and what happened in the situation. Like it was just everything was just so surreal that like you're saving the best for last. And I'm like okay, and then all of a sudden it gets over to me, man, and they do what they do, and I fell back and I hit.
Do what they do? No. What do you mean they do it?
Well, they put their hand on your head and they pray.
Pray. Okay.
I don't know exactly what he said. I
know sometimes he'll start talking tongues. Like
I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
I think so. I'm assuming. I don't really know a lot about it. I really don't. You know what I'm saying?
So
But
he
I
puts
just
his
did
hand
it.
on your head, and then what?
And then all of a sudden, I fall back, and and I hit the ground, right, and like my hand lands over my heart, and like I was talking with my friend earlier when we were at the gym, and she was like, yeah, it was only a couple of seconds, but like in my head, it was a couple of minutes, right? So I don't know if anybody's ever seen the movie Trainspotting, but like where the guy shoots up the heroin and he falls into the floor, that's literally what that felt like. You know what I mean? And
But no, audience, listen. What he means is like all the good. He just said shooting up heroin and a guy falls on the floor. What he said.
it's a movie.
Yeah, I know, but it wasn't like a heroin experience. What it was.
It was
bliss.
better than a heroin experience.
Like this wasn't. I mean, someone who hasn't seen Trainspotting, and you just explained, when the guy shoots up heroin and falls back. No, what he's saying is like
The floor sinks.
it
what
was.
happens in the movie.
He fell on feathers, and like it was peaceful. It's like all of these good things, right?
Well, the dude just sinks into the floor.
Yeah, I'm talking about you now. Like,
Well, what it felt like is like as I felt like that, it felt like my depth perception was off, right, and everybody was like really far up there, and then they they get me back up, and this random lady that like I had interaction with 2 weeks before, was like, "Can I pray for you?" And I'm like, "Okay, sure." You know what I mean? And like I'm still kind of in shock. I'm like, that actually works. What was that? What is that? I don't know what that is.
very powerful.
You know what I mean? I didn't know. I was just confused. I was so confused. I never been that confused in my life. I was like, what just happened there? And everybody that knows what happened, was there and was like really happy for me, and
Right.
like, and afterwards, this fellow that like I talked to a lot, he's like, man, I saw that. He's like, man, I just started crying. You know what I mean? He's like, and that's the Holy Spirit coming over me. He's like, I'm so happy for you. And I was still confused, right? I was like, what was that?
Just kind of
You know what
confused, just lost, or not sure if you believe what just happened, or
No, I believe what just happened. I was just shocked that like I didn't know what it entailed. I was surprised. You know what I mean? And like and I really didn't even like I seen it, but it never occurred to me that like that could actually happen to me.
So as a host, my job is to pick this apart, and I want your experience to be shared through the these airwaves. But like this, while you're in your confusion, what's your feelings on the inside? Like you're confused, but you're feeling Did it hurt because you hit
No,
your back?
no,
Or were you feeling light on your feet? Like,
They laid me down. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They laid me down and all that stuff, and it was just, I didn't hurt. I was just kind of in shock.
okay,
Literally, like I was in shock, and then like I started to like feel really good.
this lady prays over you.
Yeah, and I started to feel really good, but still, and then the pastor came up and gave me a hug after the service, and I was like, dude, I didn't think that actually worked. You know what I mean?
What did he say?
I don't even.
Yeah.
He just was kind of like, yeah, okay, I don't know, like it was just weird.
Danny or Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say any names, but whatever, it's all good.
Not yet. So
Yeah. But yeah, so
they don't have a sixth tradition. No, I'm joking.
no,
I'm
I
messing around. I'm just talking about. Listen,
such a dick.
no, I talk about
Yeah.
Pastor Jeff all the time on here, and that's,
I know it's cool,
he
man.
knows we do.
I know, I
and
love it, bro.
I don't
It's all
promote
good.
it. We haven't said the church that you
It's
go to,
all
but
good. It's
that's
all good.
your deal if you want to. What I'm trying to get at is like this was your spiritual experience.
Yeah.
After I talked to you on Monday,
Yeah.
and you were still floored. You were
Yeah.
floored.
Well, so I woke up in the morning and instantly I started crying, and I was basically porcupined up. Like all my hair was standing up on edge, and but it wasn't like a sad cry. It was just more or less like a relief cry, and I thought about everything that's happened in my lifetime, and all like the hurt that I have with a lot of different situations where friends that stabbed me in the back, the lost babies, like that was a huge one that really was just weighing on my
You went
heart.
through some of the toughest things in your life in recovery.
Yeah.
Emotional.
Yeah, it was terrible. But and I'm thinking about all those things, and I'm just in tears, and like, you know what, man, and I start forgiving everybody, and I actually spoke it out loud, and it felt really freeing, and then like I'm driving to work, and like I'm still porcupined up, man. I'll tell you what, my hair was just all week,
Right?
all week it's been like that, right?
Did you get any pictures of it?
Oh, so yeah. So, anyways, and I'm praying, and like something just came over me, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna hit my knees in the morning, I'm gonna hit my knees at night. I don't care that 10% they talk about, I'm giving them that too. Whatever it is, here, just take it. You know what I mean? I can't tell you how I feel right now. It's just, it's just so surreal that
Can't
like
put a price on it.
I felt light for once in my life. I've never felt light in my life. I've always felt heavy. I've always felt some kind of anger about something, and I carry it around with me, and obviously, a lot of people probably know that, As a matter of fact, the pastor probably knew that, and that's probably why everything that happened. Yeah, so I'm going to work, man. I'm like the next day at work, I had the best first day of work of my life, and like these guys at the shop are just being super nice, and like they're like, hey, look, we don't cut people down here, you know what I mean? We build you up, and they're telling me how good of a job I'm doing, and like, how they're glad to have me, you know what I mean? And I'm just so happy that like, whoa, like, am I really in a place that I'm supposed to be right now? Like, yeah, dude, like, and like, so every time that I walked away from my foreman, oh, yeah, I get this too, my foreman has the same birthday as me too. Like, what are the odds of that? You know what I mean? Like, that was still kind of odd.
You guys should have became like blood brothers.
Yeah, cut my arm up and but no, so every time I would be by myself, I'd porcupine up.
Yeah.
My hair would stand on edge, and I like get the goosebumps, and they would just stay there, So I'm driving home, and of course I'm in tears again, but they're good tears, and it's like my heart's getting healed, and I'm looking at my right arm, and it's on the steering wheel, and it's just porcupined up, and I got all these goosebumps going, right? And I pull up my phone, and it's to take a picture to send to somebody, because I got to show somebody this. Like, this is like such an amazing thing that's going on right now that I got to take a picture, and I got to send it to somebody. So I pull out my phone, they go away. So I said, okay, I'm sorry, God, and I put it back in my pocket, porcupined up. You know what I mean? And I was like,
Yeah.
and it just made me cry so much more that like it was just so freeing, and like the way that I feel right now is that like, especially like if I wronged you and you're listening to this, like I want to amend my behavior publicly, and if you wrong me, all is forgiven.
So
Anybody,
Rob, we talked
anybody,
about
it's
that.
over with. I don't want it anymore, and I don't need it.
You
You
feel like when it comes to, without specific situations, but what are these big hurdles in your life where you're like, I think I'm ready to forgive?
Yeah,
In return, though, I think we talked about this. Like, that's you freeing up yourself.
oh, absolutely.
Like, I don't know, weigh in on this. Like, when someone, you have this weight on your shoulder about someone who wronged you, and you finally can be like, you know what, I'm ready to forgive them. Like, I'm doing something for them. Really, isn't it in return just freeing up yourself? Or like, can you share on that or speak on that? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've definitely had experiences like that where I've just carried around all this like toxic anger and hatred
Absolutely.
for somebody, and you just let that go, and it feels so freeing, you know. It really does. It's life changing.
So I'm going to circle back to
love that
exactly what he
story.
said
I love that story.
because of the dynamic we have in here. Another story about you two, and I got to circle back because he's the one who said it, and I have him in the room while you've been here. So Rob, this last week has been amazing for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not just okay, like that's cool. I won the lottery,
No.
but like you feel like your life has.
Not only my life, but the way that I think about everything. And like I'm not asking why me. I'm saying thank you. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And you know, everything is forgiven. You know, and I don't. It's not with me anymore. You know what I mean? And it's been the most freeing feeling that I've ever had in 37 years that I've lived. You know what I mean? And honestly, I can't thank the pastor enough and God enough. You know what I mean? Like,
You talk to your dad?
yeah, I apologize to my dad. I apologize to another friend that we had a falling out, and you know, it was weird. Like everything's just really clear. So, right, for instance, like I'm a painter, right? So I get anxiety, right? Or like I tell myself that I get anxiety from cutting in ceiling lines because I want it to be perfect, and more times than not, it's not perfect because the ceiling line's never straight.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and I'm painting, right, and I'm like, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, you get anxiety because you hold your freaking breath, dude. You know what I mean? Like things are just making sense, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. You know what I mean? And I start breathing, and I'm not having an anxiety about doing my job. You know what I mean? And to boot, these guys are like, hey, you're doing a great job. You know what I'm
we
saying?
talked about that. Like,
Build me up.
That was a fear of yours. Like, you know, you got these tattoos, and
Yeah.
people are going to judge, and like that was a fear of yours going into a new job. Like I think we talked on Friday, some about.
Oh, I hate
that.
it. I don't like it at all. I can't stand it. You know, because I always have this thing in my head that I'm thinking that people are thinking this way about me.
Right.
You know, when really it's not even true.
It's you.
You know, and like, and I'll tell you, like, as of now and as of last Sunday, that has changed. That has changed.
Just your thought process.
Everything has changed within me. Like, and it's something I can't describe, but like, you know, I hope and pray that, you know, others can come to that feeling themselves too. You know,
Right.
whether it's something similar or whatever, and that doesn't have to be through, you know, going to church. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll tell you early on, I shared this with Finn. I was about 9 months clean, and I was in this basement of this old building. You know, because I was doing T-shirts for like $9 an hour. You know what I mean? But I was just happy to do it.
Yeah.
You know, with an addict that's not here anymore, and you know, rest in peace, Sam. But I'm down there and I'm cleaning these screens, and all of a sudden I hear this voice, and it says it's time.
I remember that. Yeah.
And you know, from that moment on, I was like, I'm never gonna do heroin again. You know. And I'll tell you what, like since that moment, I've never really gotten close to doing heroin. You know what I'm saying?
Would you say the obsession has left you completely?
Yeah.
Obsession.
Because I don't want to be another face on a T-shirt.
Right.
You know, and I'm tired of seeing, you know, kids growing up without fathers, without mothers, and I'm tired of seeing the grief in the families and everybody affected. Because I think that, like, you know, if we can curb that, man, I'm gonna try to do my part. You know, but like there's so many things that like can line up sometimes that, like, you know, like, and it's like, the thing is, it's like you can't make it happen. You can't make it happen. Because I'll tell you what, you think I wanted to suffer for 3 years? You think I wanted to?
No.
You know what I mean? You know how many times that I talked to somebody and they told me to just get over it? You know how many times I want to punch them right in their throat?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what are you kidding me, man? Don't you think I would have if I could have? But that's my self-will. That's not God's will, you know?
Yeah. No. That.
But and
But
another
you
thing
had
too,
yourself an experience.
and another thing too is that I don't find these past relationships as bad anymore. I'm actually thankful for them because of the fact that all these relationships got me closer to God.
Hey.
You know what I mean? And he spoke to me and he woke me up. So, you know, like from here on out, like I'm listening straight up. Like I ain't, you know, whatever it is, man, I'm gonna do it.
That's
You know, and like, and it's weird because, like, you know, I've been shutting a lot of people out and feeling kind of, you know, like, oh, you know, F recovery and this and that. And now I'm like, no, it's time to help. It's time to help some people. It's time to pull out of that. And
12 steps.
because I'll tell you what, man, all these people that wrong me, they ain't around me. Why am I letting them affect what's going on around me, man? You know what I mean? Like this man sitting next to me has saved my life. This man across from me has saved my life. But why do I want to sit here and put them in that category? Is that? That's
Listen,
bullshit.
we-
But that's the disease of addiction
Yes,
working its way on me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And like,
Mhm.
and you know, the more time goes on, the more tools you get. You know, and I just found probably the most valuable tool that I could possibly get,
It's your experience.
and it feels great. Like, I even like don't want to swear as much, right? Right? I mean, I don't know, man. It's got everything. It's got everything different.
You've had a profound change, dude. Like,
Yeah.
and it's this thing I keep saying. It's like this. It's your experience. We've had people on this show that come on and be like, "You have to have your own experience. You have to just have an experience." Like, and you had one that's monumental in your life.
Big time. Like my whole life. Like not just my recovery, but my whole life.
And like you
Yeah.
shared about it just now, you are in control of your own happiness. You're the one who's in control of how do you want to be today. Things are going to happen around you no matter what happens. Like life's going to show up. We've talked about this. We all know it. You don't have to be in recovery to realize like life's going to show up no matter what you do. How are you going to show up when that happens? Like that's what a lot of this has given me.
More times than not, I showed up through anger.
Well, but you showed up. Like it's
Absolutely.
you showed up. So quick kind of side note, and I've had you tell this on the air. I think every time you've been on about some dude owing you money and you saw him and you just wanted to smash him.
Oh,
So you
yeah.
call Finn. You
Yeah.
call your sponsor, but
That's not quite how it happened.
I know I'm gonna have you recap the story. But
Yeah.
the reason why I think the answer
He lives right down the street, to be honest.
that this dude.
Yeah, he walks by here all the time when I'm here.
So
He still owes me $1,000. You know what? Like I said, all is forgiven.
But this is it. This is what I mean. Like the answer that you the experience you just had and what Finn shared about, like I think what he was trying to tell you to do was exactly where you're at right now.
Yeah.
But
And
when he
and
told you,
it took me 6 years, right?
kind of tell the audience about this whole that thing.
Okay,
Like,
so
because now Finn's here, the one who told you this advice. It's
okay,
awesome.
so you know, I try to get clean and sober, whatever you want to call it, whatever wordage, I don't care.
you wanted to find some successful recovery.
Yeah, successful recovery, sure, whatever you want to call it. And I moved into a sober house, and some things went south. The roommate started using, and a bunch of stuff came up missing, and I ended up owing me $1,000+ and like the electricity got shut off because he said he paid the bill and he didn't pay it, and he bounced on me, and like all this just bogus, man.
Right.
I mean, bogus, right? So for a long time, like I was really flexing on this dude, like you come around me, I'm gonna beat you
Right.
up, So I get this job at the t-shirt place, right? And I see, one of the friends that was in the halfway house at that time, prior to this, and he stayed clean. That's what got me the job. Who is no longer with us. So I'm like, yo, I say, hey, if you see so and so, this guy's name, tell him I'm gonna beat his mother, or you know what I mean? Like I got something for him, right? I got something for him.
Right.
Because he's like, yeah, I saw him on the bus, and I'm like, ooh, I'm getting hot, and I'm getting fired up. You know what I'm saying? So fast forward like 2 days later, man, I meet up with my sponsor who's right next to me here, and we're doing some step work, and we're gonna go to this meeting, right? You know what I mean? And like, I feel great. I just did some step work. You know what I mean? Like, it's all good, man. And I turn the corner and I run smack dab into this guy, and there was like that split second that was like, okay, well, what are you trying to learn right now? And then there's like 90% of me that's like, smash him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it was like, I froze because I was like, wait a minute, bro. Like, God's telling me, hey, dude, you just did some step work with your sponsor. You're gonna practice these principles in all your affairs. You know what I'm saying? And so I couldn't even say anything, and he was kind of like, he turned white and was like, oh, what's up?
It's probably even scarier. You're sitting there not saying a word, just staring at him.
I didn't even know what to do.
You had this whole monologue going on in your head.
Yeah, it was the inner duality. You know what I'm saying? And the longer that I'm in recovery, the easier that duality is, because it's more or less like the almost 7 years versus the how many years of using. So, but I'll tell you what, like the 7 years is starting to outweigh that stuff. You know what I mean? Because like obviously I'm getting better results from it. So I call my sponsor. I can't even go walk by I can't even walk back to the guy because I'm like, dude, I want to punch him and I want to beat him up. You know what I mean? So I call my sponsor, and he's like, dude, you should hug him. I was like, I'm not gonna fuck him. I'm not gonna hug him. And I'm smoking the cigarette, my hands are shaking, and I just mean mugged him the whole time because I was just so angry, And man, it was probably a good 5 years since it happened, right? And So, man, fast forward a couple days later, man, I see this dude at a dance in this very building. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, wow, man, and he's kind of looking at me, looking away, looking at me, looking away, and I'm like, oh, it's about to be on. You know what I mean? And in my head, that's why I call him again. What does my sponsor say? He said, I think you should hug him.
Stop. Finn, do you remember this?
Absolutely.
Like, what? I've always wanted to ask you this. Is like, were you just trying to be funny, or why? No, how do I ask this? Where did you come up with saying maybe you should hug him? Why is that your thought process? I know I'm digging into something that we could talk 3 hours about, but how does this become your answer to a sponsee?
I mean, it's forgiveness, like what Rob just talked about, like all is forgiven, and that's like what you get from a spiritual awakening. You experience that, like you feel it, you actually feel it. You don't just, you don't.
So for you to give that suggestion to a sponsee or to anyone who asked, was there, and we got the time to go into it, did you have yourself an experience that had you start thinking that way, like Rob just had on Sunday, or was this learned through step work, or where did you come to have that type of an answer for or a suggestion for someone? You see what I'm asking?
Yeah, that's just what I felt in the moment, like that's what I felt was appropriate in the moment. But like and definitely, I highly advise that you never punch someone at a meeting or an event,
You never.
Back into a corner where you can't get out of clean.
No, right. That's a good way of putting that too.
Because Finn thinks about that stuff and Rob doesn't, and that's why Finn is Rob's sponsor.
But eventually Rob starts thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but I'm just saying though. No, I'm just saying. There's reasons for everything, man. You know what I mean? And that's one thing I love about my sponsor is that like the things that first jump into my mind aren't the same things that first jump into his mind, and that's why I can get so much from him, because it's like, oh, I don't think like that. You know what I mean?
So I want to know a little bit more about that, because I might have missed something when I walked out. But when I first met Rob, he was kind of intimidating. So when he asked you to be his sponsor, did you feel a little intimidated?
Well, you had 10 years at that time.
But he's still a little intimidating sometimes.
Absolutely.
Even though he's a teddy bear.
Nope. Yeah, he's absolutely a teddy bear. But I just don't think like that. I really, really don't. I'm totally.
I know I'm trying to open this onion up and peel back some layers. Did you, on week 2 of you knowing you're in recovery now, is that just how your thoughts, have you always been a gentle guy? Like, did you have an experience that turned you to this thought process? Or was it over 10 years by the time you became a sponsor? Do you see where I'm going, like trying to ask?
Yeah, I had a spiritual experience similar to the one he described.
You okay sharing about it?
Multiple spiritual experiences. Well, one of them is specific, a couple of them are specific to specific religions, but like one of them was very similar to that, and that was, I guess I'll share about it a little bit.
Yeah, please.
Absolutely.
No, whatever you're comfortable with, but please do. Like, these, I think, are some of the most powerful things that someone who has not had this yet and hear someone talk like Rob just shared could have someone at least hop on a path of trying to find that. We all know I can't have Rob's experience, but I can definitely attempt to go make my own that looks similar to it, maybe. So yes, please do share.
So yeah, I'll talk about specific kind of examples that are similar to that. But like one thing is that I always thought that a spiritual awakening was going to be something very like vivid and specific. But it really is so simple. It really is just like a genuine concern for other people, man. And like, I really believe that. I think it's just a genuine like love and concern, and like being able to see, where other people are coming from, and being able to empathize with other people and their suffering, and
Right.
like and caring. Like we practice it every day. We're actually really good at it. People that are in recovery are really good at compassion. They're really good at that, because we
absolutely.
literally do it. We literally do it every day. We
Yeah.
practice it every day. We practice compassion, empathy, understanding, like stuff like that. But yeah, I've had some specific experiences that are very similar to what Rob described. I'll just say that, I guess.
Was that an early on recovery
Yeah,
for you?
early recovery. And for me, it was standing up and like, it was like this surrender, like admitting I had a problem. Like I was so sick that I was like just as sick as these old people that were standing up to, like whatever. And that was like, it was the surrender. It was the admitting I was so sick, I really needed help, and just kind of admitting to myself that, and like physically embodying that surrender by like standing up and like this is how bad it is, and admitting that to myself, it was like practicing the first step, like in a physical kind of format.
Did you see it at the time that that's what it was, or were
In
you
retrospect, I think
Okay.
I see that, but yeah, I think the spiritual awakening part though is really so simple. It really is just realizing that like I actually care about other people, because I didn't care about other people
Right,
in,
right.
in my
Right.
prior life. I did not care at all about anything.
care about number one?
Yep, just getting one more, that was it. And
Right.
I would do anything to get one more. And
So we didn't finish.
Yeah,
I agree. I think we should go back.
come on, keep at it.
on.
Well, okay, so because I just want to finish, get it out of there, because then because later on it'll bug me. We never finished that. You know what I mean? And lose some sleep. You know.
Come on.
So fast forward, man. The guy's in New Way House 2, and I'm in New Way House 1. And so I call him about that. You know, and it's you should hug him. You know. And I was like, in my my addict brain, of course, I'm like, bear hug, you know what I mean? Just squeeze their you know what I mean? Just his eyes pop out, you know what I'm saying? But like the thing was is that like when some things started changing and I was really started working more of a recovery, man. I started to gain that compassion that Finn's talking about, that we all have, and I went and got my 6 months at a meeting, and after the meeting he comes up with his arms out, and I gave him a hug. And I asked him about everybody that was around us at the time, and they were all dead, every one of them.
Everyone that
And it
you guys used to hang out with together.
And it was at
whatever.
that point in time that I realized that, like, you know what, it's not about what he owes me or this or that. It's about helping him save his own life. And to be honest, like, that was like, that was when I really started becoming soft. You know what I mean? Like,
It's
you know
not
what I mean?
soft.
No, it's okay. It
When you
is soft.
start
There ain't
having
nothing wrong with that.
compassion.
There ain't nothing wrong with that. I don't
Yeah,
care. I'll tell you,
there
I'm
isn't
soft.
nothing wrong with it, but it's not.
I'm soft. I don't give a
You're
shit.
saying it not in that way.
No, I don't mean it like that.
You mean compassion.
No, but I'm saying I got soft, man, because check it out,
Okay.
man. This is what happened. This is what happened. This is how it
This
happened,
is
right?
his story.
So,
Don't
'cause I'm-
argue.
Right, it's my experience.
I'm
Only
not
I can have it.
arguing.
No. I'm fucking with you. Like Wordsmith or
Yeah,
what was it?
Cocksmith. Oh my gosh. Wordsmith. Just get back to it. You're soft.
That was from the very first episode. I love it. So,
Oh my
what
goodness.
I really realized in that situation is that, like, so fast forward 2 months later, I didn't see him around for a while. And instead of thinking about the money that he owed me, I actually thought about the life that he lived and if he was still here with us, because, it's a dangerous thing, the disease of addiction now. It's not like it used to be,
Mhm.
It's not like it used to be.
You
The
talk
people
about
just-
one and done. It's
Man,
literal.
you know what I'm saying? And needless to say, he's this person is doing good, and if you're listening, bro, of course, like I said, you're forgiven too, and I hope to see you around a little more. But it was just those little lessons that, like, you get to learn, and you get to become a person that, like, you didn't think you would become, and you get to be this person that, like, sometimes you don't even believe it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a lot of experiences that I'm just like, what? And I'm like, yeah, hey man, you said something to me 4 years ago that kept me clean, and I'm like, I don't remember your face. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, but then I'm thinking, and I'm staring at him, and I'm like, God, I feel like such a prick right now. But it's like, well, wait a minute, is that really me, or is that God speaking through me? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if it did, and if you're listening to this podcast and something I said kept you clean, I'm glad,
Right.
and welcome. And I hope that you can pass that along to somebody else. You know what I mean? Because that's the only thing that I even ask for. Like, yeah, I do something expecting something in return. I expect that you're going to do it for the next person.
Mhm.
Not for me. Don't care.
Yeah.
I don't need it. You know what I'm saying? Do something for somebody else. If I give you a ride, you give somebody else a ride.
Right.
If I give you a hug, you give somebody else a hug. You know what I mean? If I go to bat for you, you're going to go to bat for somebody else. It's like when people say, oh, thank you, or I'll pay you back. No. You're going to pay somebody else back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, like that. What do they say? Each one teach one? Each one teach one, right?
Yeah.
Each one teach one, reach one. And what it is? Isn't that what it is?
Each one, reach one.
So I mean, because that's just the thing. And like, check this out. So like, before I had this experience on Sunday, I was really thinking about, like, I was going tit for tat on a lot of things and about, like, situations. And it's like, well, wait a minute. I can't sit here and tell you that, like, I'm a good person if I'm doing stuff and I'm expecting things from you. You know what I mean? And also, I can't. I gotta learn not to expect me from other people. You know, not that I'm like this saint or anything like that, but like I'm a firm believer in like, you know, be good to the people around you. You know, and you know, sometimes I really take it overboard and I'll do more than I need to, but and it'll deplete me and it can put me in a bad spot. But at the end of the day, man, like if somebody can stay clean, and especially not just stay clean, but like thrive, I love that. 'Cause
Right.
I'll tell you what, man, like I don't want to see you. I'm not one of them people that wants to see you do not as good as me. You know, like if you're doing better than me, like I don't want that. Like I want to see you do good, but not better than me.
Surpass me,
No, I want
yeah.
you to do better than me. I
Right.
want you to do better than me, so I can watch you and I can learn how to do better, and then I can be better than you, and then you can be better than me,
Right.
and then we can both
We lift each other up.
Exactly, and we can actually, you know, get over some things. You know what I'm saying? And I think that like, if more people thought like that, I mean, what would the world look like?
Right.
Right? You know what I mean? Like if it was like, hey man, regardless of like, hey, do you look like me? Do you talk like me? You know what I'm saying? Regardless of any of that stuff, if it's just like, hey, I care about you as a human being and I want you to level up.
Right.
Let's level up together.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I'm on now. You know?
Well, like Finn shared about, we come in here and in our a lot of these programs talk about, you know, stop looking at the differences.
Right.
Like you come in these, and I start pointing out differences. The similarities, like you're saying, like let's level up together. There's positive stuff. God dang it! I interrupted you to go somewhere with this, and I forgot exactly what I was doing.
Another squirrel moment.
Yeah, I was thinking. Whatever.
It's okay. Don't beat yourself up, bud.
I won't. I was just this thing sidetracked. I was reading this thing. It was about Stevie Wonder. It's messed up. He had to pay like $280,000 a month in child support. It's like they base
That's
it on.
crazy.
Yeah, it's messed up. They upped it to like over $250,000 a month. He has to pay for child support. And the messed up thing is he still can't even see his kids.
Stop, bro. Stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
Okay,
That's
so-
so wrong.
So let's just stop there because Tim,
That's what Tim does.
he's on his
Love
own
this guy.
thing. So we're gonna go into our segment that we like to call Tidbits with Timmy really quick here, and
Yeah.
we're gonna see what Tim's got to say to us.
Well, I was telling you about Stevie Wonder. But
Wow.
I was looking at my calendar and it sidetracks me. I need to get into the doctor. Like this is about, you know, being good. Whatever. I gotta get to
Burning
the doctor.
sensation?
No. I've been going to the bathroom every
They
morning
have a
at
cream for that.
8:30 on the dot every
Okay.
single morning, and I need to get to the doctor because I'll be getting up to like 9:30.
Oh, see you later.
These are better than dad jokes, all right?
No. This guy,
Shut
just put your
up.
phone away. Aren't you hosting a podcast right
Yeah.
now? This guy.
Rob, I wasn't looking at my calendar. These are jokes I do. I
Yeah.
do jokes.
I think that he was. I think he was sharing his experience. Okay, that's what we do here.
Oh, whatever. So there's this poor little boy. He was born without eyelids. It's messed up, but the surgeon, they ended up doing a circumcision on him and using his foreskin for his eyelids. For real. Like, and it's worked. It's amazing. He's born with no eyelids. They did a circumcision. They used the foreskin for his eyelids. It's messed up. I mean, he's a little cockeyed, but
Stupid.
all right. So, guys, this week we're moving from dad jokes to some other longer, drawn-out dumb jokes.
That was hilarious.
I know. All right, dad jokes wasn't getting laughs.
Rachel says that's terrible.
Who does?
And thank you, Rachel. You've saved me many days too, whether you realize it or not.
So this week, it's almost what Elena was gonna say. It's like, and I share about this a lot. It's like Rob shared about what's going on. Finn shared about stuff. Elena's got good things going on. Don't let anyone rob you of your happiness.
Right.
Absolutely.
I truly believe I am the controller of my. I don't like saying destiny, but I am the one who's in control of how my life goes. Life is going to show up no matter what I do. I've realized that before recovery, life was showing up, and I used over it. I got into recovery. Life still showed up. I didn't use over it, but it was going to show up how it wanted. And then did I decide to do like Elena said? Was I going to let it rent space in my head all day and wreck my days? Was I going to let that weight carry into the following week, the following month, 3 years?
Yeah, right.
I mean, it is what it is. And it took for me to have my own experience and my own realization that I'm the one who is in control of letting that carry through day after day. And I'm the one who's in control of letting it go. So do what you can do.
Hey, and if it's hard for you to do that, I understand.
Yeah, no, it's not just.
I understand.
I had to find my own ways of how to let things go. Fortunately, it wasn't in a bottle or in a syringe. Like,
No,
I've been given a set of tools now that don't include those things. They're healthy now. And I pause. I take some breaths. I do whatever I can to get through some hard times and just try not to let it weigh me down for the rest of my days. Like, I'm the one who's in control of the happiness in my life today. I do some things ahead of that to make sure I'm happy, or I have other things going on in life that I have chosen. Things that make me happy, like we talked about, fishing or motorcycling or fellowshipping, just these things that I've found out in recovery, this new life we're living, that there are things that make me happy that don't revolve around some substances. So, like, find your happiness and stick with it. That's it for my tidbits. And again, we're going to put the little hotline up on for a second, but if you're struggling, just please reach out. Like I said, we use this platform for networking. If you're looking for somewhere to go for some recovery, you can reach out to Elena, myself, use the message board, reach out amongst each other.
And I like to endorse my painting. I'm just kidding.
And if you need a painter, you can hit up Rob.
Don't do it.
All right.
No, I'll paint for you, but
and he'll charge you accordingly. But we use this for whatever means necessary, and just you're worth it. Like, if you're struggling, please reach out. There's some alternatives out there than substances, and like medical help, or these different fellowships are out there. Whatever the case is, like, just get okay with not being okay, or get comfortable.
And don't let yourself talk yourself out of it.
Yeah, no, just take that leap and pick the phone up, or get to some type of a meeting or something. But feel free. Like I said, I put my number on here. Elena put her number on here. You can find us on this platform, Facebook. We put all that jazz out there. So just please, you are worthy. Don't
big time.
Don't get in a funk. Reach out. All right, back to the regularly scheduled program with Finn and Rob. So, what's the topic you brought tonight, Finn?
Oh, I didn't really bring a topic. I kind of was just coming on.
Bring it in.
I love it, dude.
That's awesome.
When I put people on the spot, though, they usually come up with something out the back part, like, the clothes we wear. No, Rob, did you have something you wanted to talk about?
Oh, there's a whole bunch of stuff to talk about.
All right, well, come on, bring it to the forefront. I got a few questions, but then I'm gonna break those out in about 20 minutes. So, what do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about fellowship.
Okay.
I want to see more of it.
What is fellowship? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, there is a fellowship, but I'm speaking on fellowship before the meetings, after the meetings, because BC before COVID,
BC, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I can't steal that one. There's Dave. Dave is the one that drops that one.
Loud Dave?
Yeah.
So I want to bring that up because a lot of us, when you get clean and you're a newcomer, you don't think that you can have fun in recovery, but I'll tell you what, I've had some of the funnest times in my life in recovery, you know what I mean? And I've had some of the just off the wall stuff that's just been, but the best part about it is it's authentic. It's not artificial.
Yeah.
There's no chemicals on that, but the thing is that a lot of people, they have feelings about, COVID and whatnot, or this or that. And it's just kind of, we're kind of trying to bring it back, and we've done pretty good at it. I see a lot of posts from people that's fellowship, and I'm like, yeah, good. It's about time. And I think that because it's not all just the meetings, and it's not all just seriousness, but it's also not just fellowship either. But But then again, I don't know. Everybody's interpretation is different as well, you know. But
So
in my opinion,
when you say fellowship, are you saying like meeting people at the Alano or the church or wherever the meeting
Yeah.
is before and after, or going places?
getting coffee, I mean that too.
Going
You know
out
that
to eat
too.
after.
Because I can
Yeah.
tell you, my first year of recovery, I spent more money in fellowship than I did drinking.
Right.
Like it was terrible. I was going out 6 nights a week.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you probably needed to.
Well,
I probably
you know
did.
what? We've had a guy on the show. His name was Kyle. He's a young guy.
Is that Virgo?
Yeah.
What did that again? Hey, Kyle. Hey, he's one of a
South
kind.
Park? Is
That
South
dude's
Park
one of a
reference?
kind, man. I love that dude.
Oh, I like him. So last night he shared. We were sitting there. We went out for someone's birthday, and there's 20 people there, and me and my girl order some food, appetizers. And I'm like, Kyle, why don't you order? He's like, not ordering. I'm like, you need some money? He's like, no, I got money in the bank, everything. I'm not gonna spend money right now. I've got a goal. That's what his answer was. He's like, no, I got a goal. And I know we're in a goals group. There's like 15 of us. Every morning we text our goals to each other. And I know he's been working on finances. He's got plans, like relationship plans and like moving out type stuff where finances are a big deal. And he's a younger guy and he's just never been responsible with money. So he's like, my plan is to save X amount of dollars and get my credit score up, like all this responsible shit. And I'm like, look, that's good. Here, do you want some appetizers? Like, he's like, nope, I gotta practice not eating, not worrying. Like, he's like, I've been getting that. He's like, I just snapped on someone yesterday. They keep asking me to go to fellowship, like for 5 Wednesdays in a row. They keep asking. He's like, dude, I can't afford it. I'm like, you can't snap on people for asking you to go out to fellowship. He's like, no, I get it, but like, why do they keep asking me? I'm like, that's what's got you clean today. He's like, yeah, I know. I gotta call him, pick the phone up and call him and say, I'm sorry for snapping on you about asking me out for fellowship. But like Elena was saying, like it can get spendy if you don't have some boundaries on stuff like that.
Or I mean, let somebody know. Like I never have a problem, especially Tim over here. This dude never lets me. Never. You never let me pay for lunch. Seriously, it's just.
Yeah.
I mean, it's excellent, and that just
So
shows.
now Tim has to take me out to lunch.
Yeah, I suppose, but
So
what I'm saying is that like if I'm eating, you're eating too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like like if you're a newcomer and I see you at a meeting, man, and you're too shy to say something, man, just say something. Say something on the sly.
right.
You know what I mean? Like because like more
Go
times
ahead.
than not, like people are gonna be like, yeah, no
I
problem.
thought you were gonna go to the drug.
Because it's
like,
$10, man.
dude,
Because
what-
I'll tell you what, you know how much money I fucking. Hey, you can. Here you go. A lot more than $10.
Well, and the,
You know what I mean?
yeah, and the shit I would have done for coming up with money for some dope, like, and then I'm gonna be nervous to ask someone like,
I did
dude,
something
can't
strange for some
afford-
change.
I did something strange for some change.
I'm just
You're
kidding. I
right.
didn't do that.
Yes,
Wait.
you did.
Tim did.
Let's hear about those stories.
Tim did.
No, but it's the truth. I think about some of the things I would ask the dope man with the stories and just borrow me this, borrow me that, and I'd be nervous to tell
I
someone.
need
like,
diapers.
Bro, can
You
you
got
buy
no
me a
kids.
cup of coffee or something?
Yeah. It creates a
They're for my
culture,
dogs.
too. Like it creates this culture where like people that are coming in that are newcomers, they've come from a culture where they just everyone had an ulterior motive and everyone
Right.
wanted something from them. And so they come to fellowship and someone buys them a meal, like that's fucking powerful shit.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it's so powerful because it creates this culture that's just like super attractive, man. It's super
Right.
attractive. And
Yeah, I had
Just being good to people.
Rob
you know?
shared about this, about how someone has reached out to me like, dude, you said something 4 years ago, saved my life. Not have a clue. I just experienced something of what you're saying. Someone told me like, they're like, Tim, no, you paid for my coffee. Like, you know what? Not even that. We had on the show, it was like our maybe 15th show. I got an anonymous letter from someone,
Yeah.
and I read it on the air. It was powerful. Someone was listening to the show,
Pulls on your heart.
tying a noose, ready to kill himself. And me and Tad, we always like, you're loved. We love you. The dude told us like that was the first time someone said they loved me in over 5 years,
Man.
and like I'm still here because you guys told me you love me. I talk to them all the time. Like I found out who it was. Like they're actively in recovery now, but they're drinking, listening to the show, whatever. They're listening, they're doing something, but stuff like that, like the impact you might have on someone today off something, you being who you are,
Yeah, it's
That's why, like,
life changing.
yeah.
It really
Right.
is life changing.
Right.
We forget that all the time. That you've shared it's like life or death, but it's also there's literally nothing more important than what we do, like in the rooms. Like there's nothing more important. You can change the course of someone's life with something super simple.
Right.
Super simple.
Giving a chair.
Right.
Or remembering someone's name. I've had someone say that to me. No,
Dude, I'm so bad at that.
I know, but multiple times.
I'm so bad at that.
But bro, how good is it?
Hey, if I forgot your name,
it wasn't
I'm making
personal.
amends. I'm sorry.
Props on this whole forgiving thing.
Right.
But like,
My name is Earl.
I don't can,
What's wrong?
can you remember back to when you were a newcomer and one of the biggest things is when I was at my men's meeting I go to still the first time I was there and I shared. And the way they do it is they read through this book and after every paragraph there's a pause if someone wants to share what they just read, then you share. And I shared something. I don't even know. Back then I just wanted to hear myself talk. I knew people had to listen and that was my ego shit. It's 6 months clean or something.
Back then.
But no, I still do. But after that meeting, one of these old timers was like, Tim, you shit, that was a really good share, man. Thanks. It was probably not good for my ego, but that meant a lot to me. Like, I still 5 years later, I'm going to that. I still go to that meeting. It's like things like that. Someone remembering my name, like, oh, Tim, you're back. Oh, so I try to literally make a point. You always hear some of these old timers talk about. You always see that guy in the corner being quiet or something. Like, go talk to them. Like, go make an effort to find that newcomer and get outside yourself, not being used to talking. Like, make that not outside yourself anymore. Make that part of the norm. Like, welcome these people.
You
And
know,
be genuine.
I've had people say that to me in meetings, and then I sit there and I think about what I actually said because I'm so in the moment that I
Right.
don't remember what
I don't know what
said.
happened. I blacked out.
And I'm like, what part of that?
Well, that's like a
think,
share. Like, can you repeat what you said at SNL type deal? Like, when you're sharing from the heart, and you
I
just,
can't repeat
you're
what I
flowing?
spoke about it as
No,
I know.
but-
I have no idea.
that's like when you don't have something planned and you're just sharing from the, I never remember what I shared.
You know what sucks though? They ever just bombed? Like you ever just went somewhere and everybody's just like, what the fuck is this guy talking
No.
about? You never done that?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, me neither. I'm just kidding.
I It happened to me.
Oh,
at
man.
Woodward.
You know, like,
I had 80 people,
right?
and then all of a sudden they just all start talking to themselves. I'm like, are you joking right now?
You're not talking about your walk and talk, right?
No,
I was about to say because you killed it that day.
Whatever the case is, though, Finn, I think, hit it on the head. Like the impact you could have without even knowing it. That's why, like, becoming a better person is so beneficial. Not just to yourself, but in return, what you get, like the payoff, to hear someone tell you, like, years later what you done for them, and you don't even have a clue.
Well, another thing too is that like somebody's like, hey man, like I know that your character is good, and like they see you down and out, and they just naturally want to help you.
Right.
And then it's just like, I mean that goes huge, and it's like a lot of times, like us addicts, we lie to ourselves and tell ourselves that either we're this or we're that.
Who's your biggest critic?
Me, of course. And I'm saying I was mean to myself.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. No. So, you got. What was I gonna say? I had it and I just lost it, man.
Because Tim's throwing stuff.
Yeah.
Integrity, being a good person, naturally.
But yeah. I mean, like for instance, like like the job that I got, like this last week. I mean, like obviously I do side work for somebody, but like this person golfs with the owner of this company. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, in active addiction, I didn't have that type of networking.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I might have known dude who can get the plug on this, and
No, I
can make $20, I can make 10%, I can make blah 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 blah. Which in return I wouldn't make anything, and I would do all the drugs because that's what I do. But I'd still lie to myself and do it again. I probably did about 874 more times too. But but it's like now it's like and especially like even in my professional life, like in my union, I'm the warden. Like they asked me if I wanted a position just because I showed up
at the union hall.
Yeah, because I showed up. It's it's one night a month, and it was like when they told me when I signed up, like it's good for networking, and I was like, well, I'll be there.
Yeah.
And I showed up every month, and the girl that got me into the union, like she'd go with me, and she's not in the program no more, which she's still doing well, and I hope for the best, but she stopped coming, and they were like, hey, well, what do you think about getting a position here? And I was like, I don't, because here I am thinking about like, oh, I'm different than this and I'm different than that.
differences.
But in reality, they're seeing me, you know, somebody who just joined and was really interested in what's going on in you know, in the trades, you know, and I mean, who knows where that comes. And like another thing too is that like they see me and it's like, you know, if I get laid off, they're like, I'll put you at the top of the list.
Yeah.
I'm like the first one that gets called. You know, those guys have been on for 20 years.
And you
know,
can attribute this directly to you become
absolutely. I was not dependable when I was using. You know,
so
like I worked hard because I needed to get more.
You know, and like you asked about this, and like to tell you, like this is what this show is. Like we share about that right there. Like what, like these Ben. Not that Elena got a new car. Not that Rob finally got something that can blow your eardrums out, or not
Which is awesome.
You know what I'm saying? Like not these item things. Like I like to make sure like the world outside listening hears about this other shit. These promises they talk about. Like you can be counted on, man. Like you got integrity. You tell someone, you know what I'm talking about is this part of life.
Yeah.
Being able to quit a job and get another one right after.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, like I think
and taking some time off if you need to.
Or taking time off.
Awesome. Let me tell you what, man.
Yeah, you were happier.
Yo,
yeah.
That was like a catastrophe when I was using, right? You know, like, oh, I lost my job. You know what I mean? Oh my God.
What am I gonna do when I run out?
Oh my, it's a catastrophe. Everything's gonna blow up. You know. And now it's like I'm like, well, I mean, for like a whole year, I was waiting on getting laid off, and I was like, then it finally came. You know, but then it was like
you're so gassed up. You're like, Tim, I think you're laying me off next week.
Yeah.
I'm like
a year.
I'm like, you bummed out. You're like, no, dude, I can't wait to get laid off.
Right? Yeah.
Longer.
Yeah.
I know I should have, but
it worked the way it was supposed to.
It did.
There was
Absolutely.
a company who you said best first day of your life.
Excellent.
So
and
like,
even the owner was just like, and I was talking about, here I am cutting myself down, right? And I'm like, yeah, you know, I don't think I'm the best, but I don't think I'm the worst. And I'm like, I think that like, you know, I'm maybe about a 70 or 80. And then like, and I said, I don't, what did I say? I said, I'm not the best. And then the owner said, yet. And it was like, man, I ain't never heard nothing like that.
that's cool. And
you know
how'd that make you feel?
It made me feel great. You know what I mean? It just made me feel great. And I'm like, man, like, is this like exactly where I'm supposed to be?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I never felt so like just in
So
the
looking
spot.
back at this first week of work, answer that question. Like, are you at where you think you're supposed to be?
I hope so. Well, it feels like it. It feels right.
Yeah.
Everything feels right. But the thing is like here's that other part of me that's like, I don't know, man. You don't want to speak.
Yeah, that's why you couldn't answer right away.
Yeah, you know
That's
what I
why you
mean?
said, I think.
But and they have a different way of doing things. Like the things that I've been doing this week is completely different from how I've been doing it for the last 5 years. And I didn't hear nothing but, don't worry, you'll get it. You know, don't worry, we'll get that later. You know, I boo-booed a little bit and got some paint all over this wall. It's bad. You know what I mean? But it was just like, don't worry about it. It's all good. We got this. We got this. Not I.
Yeah,
we.
see.
You know, and then,
the place you came from, it was a lot of eyes, right?
oh yeah, everybody's better than me. Everybody's smarter than me, and you know, oh, they let you in here. There was a lot of that talk. And, man, who are you? They let you in here too.
People cutting each other down.
Oh, totally, man. You know, everybody's better than everybody, and it's like I don't get that vibe at all. And that's something that like I really stand by because I don't ever want to, you know, hey, I'm better than you, because I ain't better than nobody.
Well,
you know,
you
it don't
shared
matter
about that with
you know?
recovery. Like, I want to level you up.
Right.
You know.
Right. Absolutely. You know, and it's just like it's just huge. You know.
So Finn, you, I believe, are the 5th nurse we've. Are you nurse? Is that what you are? Or an LPN or RN?
I'm an RN and OCN.
What are you? You're just.
I'm an LPN.
LPN. And
I'm just an LPN.
I didn't mean to say
I'm
just.
a low paid.
I didn't.
Let's level
Level up.
Is that what that is?
Yeah,
That's what I call it. A low paid
level
nurse.
up. We had Ruth on here, who I believe is an RN, and we just had, Jen. She's in the medical field too. How long? I think she shared. She told us she always wanted to be child care. She got into it. That was 2 hours of her. Yeah, like I know all of it, but I gotta listen to the show again. What? How long have you been in the medical industry?
Let's see, it's been about 7 years.
You went to school?
I did.
Did it have all those?
No, you can just don't take the test these days.
Hey, just making sure people understand. Like, was the line of work you're in, like our last week's guest, it was her dream to be in that field. Like, was that something you knew when I grow up, I want to be in the medical industry?
Mhm.
No, it wasn't. It actually, I wanted to build weapons, which I sometimes
Really?
joke with my mom about. Yeah,
Hmm.
I wanted to design weapons, and so like I feel like I joke with my mom that in another timeline, like I was like a monster with blood on my hands, you know.
But you mean like work for Ruger
like Lockheed Martin or something, you know. But I think with experiencing like there was a lot of nurses that saved my life and like saw, and more importantly, like they saw value in my life where like other people that I experienced in the medical field maybe didn't. And so that was the hit there, is like I want to be like that. Like I want to be like them. I want to see value in someone's life when other people kind of don't see it.
Let me try to not fill in the blanks, but say something I don't believe you would be the type to say it. Like, you mean like maybe you had like just not even say an overdose, but your disease hits and you end up at a medical facility. You're seeing the one that's supposed to be the like, let's just say a doctor isn't giving you any type of attention, but a nurse comes in and shows you some love. Like, let's care for him regardless, red, white, black, blue, heavy, skinny, fat, thin, whatever. And, yeah,
Right.
And you saw that out of a nurse.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, that's previous guests kind of shared the same, and that's what drew them to that. And I think a lot of people in recovery, you hear like, I'm going to be a counselor, because they see how much help they've gotten along this path.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I think you're the second one who's kind of shared about that in that form. So you just in this 7 years, so 4 years into recovery, you start going to school for it?
No, so I originally went to school and I got a degree in psychology, and that was like the job that I just didn't enjoy the job that I did there. But yeah, it was like working with sex offenders. It was really, really dark.
Oh, in psychology? Or okay.
Yeah, it was really dark, and I was doing like the chemical castration injections and stuff. And so
I remember that. Yeah, you told me about
It
that.
was pretty dark. And
You mean
They do that?
and reading journals.
that's like for a sex offender they let out, like they give them drugs to make them never aroused again type deal, right?
It's basically like a form of female birth control that they give. I think it's like Depo shots.
Oh, okay. So this is
I
what
didn't
you were
know that.
doing? Like this was
That was what I did out of my first degree, and I was getting, I don't know, I ended up going back to school for nursing, getting a degree in nursing, and then now I do like chemotherapy, biotherapy, so I kind of specialized it a little bit there. And the reason I did that is because I feel like addicts are stigmatized far more in like the medical side, as opposed to like if they come into the addiction medicine side or the psychiatric side, there tends to be people with more compassion. But if you're facing like a cancer diagnosis, or you're facing like a serious like life-changing diagnosis, and you're an addict, the stigma will follow you no matter how long you've been in recovery.
really.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Medical records are forever. Like they just last forever.
Oh yeah, I'm red flag for sure.
It's
Still,
yeah. So I think that that's something that was more meaningful to me.
Wait, let me get this right. I mean, are you talking about yourself, the stigma of medical records following you, or these patients?
Oh, both. I mean, I've experienced it myself. Like this last, and yeah, I've shared about this with Rob a little bit and some other people. Maybe I haven't. I don't know. But like this last during COVID, I worked with COVID, and when I'm still seen in the medical field, I still experience the same stigma that I experienced prior to going into it, even after the contribution that I made. And it's like that's really hurtful, but like I definitely see people that come in that are addicts that they have a long-term recovery, but they're just sort of like, in terms of priority setting frameworks, they're just dropped to the lowest priority.
So sad.
And immediately, like, we're going to put, because you allocate time and you kind of triage and allocate percentages of your resources and time and stuff. And if someone has an addiction, they're just immediately at the bottom of that priority framework in the minds of most, like, maybe
Doctors or
physicians.
And that's regardless of how much time clean they
Absolutely. I see that. There's definitely exceptions. I don't want to make like a generalization.
Right. No, and I get that.
And it's not coming from a place of resentment. It's coming from a place of genuine like concern and analysis of it. Like I really care about that. Like that's something that's super important.
So did I hear this right? When you said like prior to COVID, you were one of the nurses on the front lines during COVID?
I was, yeah.
And what you were saying was like the stigma still followed you in certain situations, even though you're one of these guys that a lot of that medical community stayed away from because of it, and you're this guy, this addict,
Yeah.
and still didn't like give you no, I don't want to say give you no credit, but still.
Yeah. No, I know that it sounds kind of like that I'm looking for credit, but really it's
No, I know you're not.
it does. There is a certain element of resentment, I guess. I'll be totally honest. There's a certain element of resentment where I come in and it's like this person that I'm seeing, this provider that I'm seeing, like they saw patients over Zoom. You know, maybe they were furloughed and didn't even work, or they came back, and then they see me and they're like, you know, because I can read their notes. It's all in my chart,
Right?
you know, and so you can see the bias kind of just filter in there.
I know firsthand, unfortunately.
It's hurtful. It's honestly, it's really hurtful for someone in recovery to read that, and I think there should be a lot more training that goes into like how providers who, if they have that bias, like how can you be a part of someone's care team if you don't actually care about them? If you don't care about someone.
Boom.
No,
That is one of the reasons why I left I'm leaving my job, Tim.
So
Yeah.
I'm glad you said it exactly how you said it, and I'm glad you said that. Goddamn, doggone, time was killing us. Yeah, because I want to get into this, but we don't have the time to open that can of worms.
That's a big one, yeah.
Yeah, it is, but
So
it's huge because a lot of people in
So
recovery. I have my own experience. Anyone who's someone like me, like I'm not labeled a pill seeker, but there is things on my charts from when I was a late teenager.
Polysubstance user, perhaps.
No, some stuff from a late teenager that a doctor decided to put because there was nothing else they could figure out that has followed me prior to me becoming an addict, even that maybe bumped me to the bottom of the list or priority. And there is, like you said, medical records are fine. Like,
So, for the last 17 years, I've kept everything out of my medical record for when it comes to like my addiction, except for recently because I started getting migraines and they had to write a letter to my insurance company of why I wouldn't take an injectable medication. So I had to like admit it to my doctor, and I did not want to do that.
Like Jovi or something.
No, like
a
Emgality or what? Yeah, like one of those things. Yeah, because I didn't want to inject myself.
Oh, I hear you. Yeah.
I'm like, I can't do that. And they're like, well, we have to give them a reason because insurance companies won't pay for crap.
I know. Unfortunately, I know.
Absolutely ridiculous.
And you know, it's unfortunate. I don't want to be the one talking this whole time, and I'm gonna for a sec. Is recovery hits, and you know, I go into recovery with an open wound on my 3-second surgery, and it gets infected while I'm in my inpatient. And they wanted to give me some more opiates, and that was the first time, you know, my counselor said, "You gotta tell your doctors, tell me you're an addict." And at this time, it was week 3 of me being clean, and I'm like, "Yep, I'm gonna." Well, that's 5 years ago, and I've proactively been like, "Nope, I don't want pain meds." But on the other hand, they weren't ever being offered. You know, a couple of teeth ripped out. There's been, I've had a hernia, I've had surgeries, and doctors have been like, "No, you can take Advil," which I get, and I did, and I wouldn't have taken them, but the option would have been there. It didn't say I was an addict on whatever. I'm not articulating that right, but it can be. I'm glad there's people like you in the medical field.
Absolutely.
People with that experience, like we had Ruth on here, and I know like they and Jen experienced being an addict while in that field and losing their jobs, and now getting them back, going through some process. Jen was sharing about how she had to take a UA the day that she was here, like 7 years later, still taking UAs to validate her license. She told me what the program was or something.
SPSS or
Yes,
I think it's something like that.
Whatever the case is, it's like there's a whole industry.
HPSP. That's what it was.
I have a sponsee that I sign a form for quarterly.
Whatever the case is, like
She's a nurse.
I get it. Like I would prefer having someone like you with your experience in the room if I go to the doctors versus someone without your experience. With my background, just knowing, God, I don't want to say it the wrong way. You validating what a lot of people's fears are who have been an addict or who is an addict and goes to a doctor.
Yeah.
I know you didn't say every single doctor puts them at the bottom of the list. I know you didn't say that, but it happens.
I wish I could request a doctor or a physician that's in recovery. I wish there was a way to specifically request that or something. I don't know.
No,
But I
that's
know
a
that's
great.
unrealistic, but it's,
I don't think it should be. Well,
you know, it would be nice.
is that public knowledge about a medical professional who is going through the HPSP or that?
Yeah,
Is that-
Yes.
program?
Is that knowledge, public knowledge?
Yeah.
Is it?
It's not like public knowledge to that point, but it'll tell you online if you go online to verify. So like if you went online to verify my license, it would tell you if I was suspended or on some
okay.
sort of something.
I think it's an alternative to disciplinary action.
Yeah.
From what I understand. So I don't think it's public record. I think that there's discipline. There's discipline through the Board of Nursing, which is like, you know, if you divert narcotics or you do something,
Yeah.
you know, use or something while you're on working, whatever. There's official discipline, but there's also HPSP, which is like an alternative to discipline.
Yeah.
How I understand it, because I've met a lot of people in the medical field in recovery, and that's kind of the experience that they go through, or that's what they describe. It's like it's an alternative to that. So I don't think it's public.
If you apply for a job and the place where you're going to work
Oh,
for,
to employers.
they will
Yeah.
get something that
Yeah.
like, so like you can't just quit your job because you're on disciplinary and go somewhere else.
Well, and I think and I'm going to get off this topic here quickly after this. One side thing is I think with Jen, what happened was, and she shared about it, was she just stopped showing up for work instead of dealing with that. But when she got back in the field, she had to go through that process. I don't, you know what? Without her here, I don't even want to get into that story. But damn it, I was going to wrap up one more thing asking you about it. Whatever. I'm glad that you're in this field, and I'm glad that you're here sharing a little bit about that. But damn, I'm not. You know what? I'm not going to remember. It doesn't matter. So we got 8 minutes left. 2218. That's where we're having this podcast from. Elena's going to throw the link back up there, and if you're able to, come on down to this club. Make one of these meetings here a home group. Make this club one of your. Become a member of this club if you want. If you got community service hours you need written up, come on down and volunteer some time. If you don't, come on down and volunteer some time. Like our guest last week, she does all the flowers here just for the fun of it. Come on down, help pick up the parking lot. This club does lots of events throughout the year. The Alamo Club itself does. We do the Ride for Recovery. We have the Pat Cronin birthday here. We do the annual birthday. We do all sorts of activities here. It's always kid-friendly and fun and events, cookouts, what have you. So this club is huge. It never closed its doors during COVID, and it's remained open. I believe it's one of the only clubs that ever remained open through that, and it's the longest running Alamo Club in the world. Please support it. I do, and this is where I go for a lot of my recovery. Come on down here. I know tonight Jane made some homemade pizza. They do Friday night dinners. I think she's like regularly back on it. We got cookies up here from dinner tonight. She made homemade pizza. I think coleslaw, some German chocolate cake. Like, I think it's $5 or $6. You're gonna get filled up. It's awesome. Come on down here on Friday nights and get your eats on, and again, make this your club. If you're struggling, please reach out. Do not sit in the mess. There is a lot you heard us talk about tonight. You heard us talk about fellowship. You heard us talk about other means of finding your happiness and finding some recovery or another way. Just get outside yourself. It's beneficial. She did put up the hotline for the suicide hotline. And like I said, if you're struggling and you're just not comfortable reaching out to one of us, just call that number.
Your best days are yet to come.
That's
Remember that. Your best days are yet to
So
come.
speaking of fellowship, let me throw something out there because usually we talk about some activities. Tomorrow at Fridley Alano, that's Fridley, Minnesota. You can Google it. They're having their 15th
Rib Fest.
annual Rib Fest. So starts at noon. They have an entrance fee for the live music and stuff, so it's $15. And then otherwise, I believe you can just go there and eat. And the ribs and all the fixings are $10. They're gonna have music. They have speakers usually. There's all kinds of stuff. So I don't know if they're having a speaker. I'm just guessing right now. But they have live music, and it's
Yeah,
always
they have
great
live music.
bands that they have, and there's so many people. So if you need to meet new people in recovery, you need to find a sponsor, you need to whatever, check out Fridley Alano because they have amazing stuff going on tomorrow.
Well, thank you, Elena. Hey, Elena, what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for everything right now. I'm grateful that my kid is out becoming something because she left for college and she's going to become something, and I did that.
You made that.
My joke when she turned 18 is that she lived 18 years, and now my youngest is going to be 18 next month, and that means 2 of them survived throughout my addiction, throughout everything. Like, they survived. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, Robbie,
I know.
what are you grateful for, buddy?
Forgiveness.
Mm.
Oh, listen to him. The spirit's still flowing.
That's it.
Yep.
All right. Well, Finn, what are you grateful for in life today?
I'm grateful for the relationships that I have.
That's
Awesome
a good one.
sauce. We
What are
can
you
get
grateful
solid.
for, Tim?
My mama.
I'm grateful for my mom too.
Yeah, buddy.
Lisa,
Hey,
Made me feel
Lisa,
bad.
come here real quick. I need to ask you
we
something.
have an audience today.
Come here, Lisa. Right here, this little silver thing. Tell us what
Don't
you're
get too
grateful for.
close because Tim likes to
Oh,
make out with that one.
For my kids.
Your kids? What's your name?
Lisa.
Lisa, thank you for coming in and supporting us tonight. Yeah, I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my girl. You know what?
George.
George, my girl.
Your girl's name is George?
I call her George.
One night,
Radiator hose Randy?
we had a buzzer beater. Like, hey, if you were, we're gonna do a buzzer beater real quick. This means I'm gonna ask you a question.
Oh, God.
You're gonna give me an answer right away. Rob, if you're a girl, what would you want your name to be? Quick, come on,
Oh,
come on. If you had to be a girl, what would your name be? Quick,
he'd be Josephine.
come on.
No, I'm gonna be Joseph.
Okay, so you do have something in mind. Come on, buzzer beater.
Don't be shy.
Next.
Don't be shy. We have that high.
Megan?
Megan,
I don't
Finn,
know.
if you were a female, what would your name be?
Wow.
Right, I know. It's like, what, dude?
Buzzer beater.
Let's see.
Right, that's a hard one. How do you come up with something
It's
like,
not
just
really
like
gonna
that?
happen, guys. Like, so
It's not that hard.
you're excited. All right, come on.
I don't know.
That is the goofiest name I've ever heard.
Freda?
Natasha. I don't know.
Natasha.
Ooh, something elegant.
Elena, if you were a boy, what would your name be?
Fred.
Fred. I like
Fred.
We just talked about this at work today because somebody had a stuffed animal, and I said I've named everything Fred since I was like 4 years old.
Even your boyfriend.
Look,
Oh.
Jess laughed. Hi, George.
So in that night, I think it was, if she was a boy, her name was George.
What would your name be if you were a girl?
Skylar. And if it was a boy, it'd be Skylar.
this dude.
That's my niece's name.
That kind of sucks because like you already get to answer it after you ask
I
3
know,
times.
I know. That's why we usually.
So it would be Skylar, like AR, or Skylar ER.
I spell it TIM.
I'm getting him a T-shirt that says Skylar on it.
Oh, well, you know what, guys? Thank you for coming on this week. I think we had a banger of a show.
Bang bang.
Bang, bang. Really appreciate hearing about your spiritual experience, Rob. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing about your
Sure
line of
was.
work a little bit, Finn. Thank you guys for keeping in with tradition tonight. It gets a little tricky. We can't really get into certain details, or we try not to, and I think like it's beneficial. Lena, I'm glad that you're back this week. This is awesome. I told 3 of the bangingest ass jokes you guys have ever heard.
Nah, this guy.
Come on.
I'm
Stevie
gonna
Wonder
go
came to
home and
see his
tell.
kids.
I'm gonna go home and tell the eyelid one.
That's a good one. Cockeyed. All right. Well, next week we got another slamming show for you, and remember we're going on the road.
Roads.
The 9th of September will be our first on the road. I will
Roads.
confirm with Rick and Jesse what we're gonna do. We might bump them a week early, but
Bumpity bump bump.
yeah.
Bumper.
So with that, we love you. You're
Bye-bye.
not alone. You don't have
Bye-bye.
to be alone. Please reach out if you're struggling. Till next week, we love you.
Bye bye.